This is CBC Winnipeg News.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us. A Manitoba man has been the target of death threats after RCMP wrongfully charged him with being involved in the sexual exploitation of teens. Now he wants an apology. The CBC's Kristen Annabelle has more.
This has ruined my life.
Scott Joseph Taylor never thought he'd see his name in the news, especially in connection with stories of child exploitation.
I don't even know what to say about it. It's really upsetting. It's horrible.
Earlier this month, police announced 7 people had been charged in Portage-la Prairie after an investigation found teens were being lured and forced to have sex with men in exchange for drugs.
This was a fairly organized operation where the suspects used multiple platforms with the deliberate intent to exploit youths.
One of the men named and charged was Taylor.
And they came in and handcuffed me and arrested me for charges that I did not do.
He was charged with obtaining sexual services of a minor and unsafe firearm storage.
I've had death threats. My house was spray painted, vandalized. And what people would be thinking, it's just been awful.
His home was spray painted with the words certified pedo, and he was beaten up. All the while, he knew he was innocent. Taylor's lawyer agreed and contacted the Crown.
What I can tell you is that based on all the information that I was able to get, there is no justification, in my opinion, to warrant an arrest of Scott Taylor.
10 days after the charges were announced, RCMP issued an update saying Taylor was not involved and the charges were stayed.
They cleared me because they knew I was 100% innocent in this matter.
Gould is still piecing together what happened, but says from what he does know, there were problems with the evidence used to identify Taylor as a suspect.
Scott Taylor's innocent. They just got the wrong guy.
The RCMP say that the information they had at the time supported the charges, and when they learned that Taylor wasn't involved, they acted immediately. As for Taylor, he's still trying to piece his life back together and is looking to pursue a lawsuit. And he's still waiting for an apology from the RCMP. Kristen Annabelle, CBC News, Winnipeg.
A 28-year-old man's disappearance in Winnipeg nearly 3 years ago has led police to start searching a North End home. Cody Harper was last seen in the Elmwood neighborhood in October 2021. Now, nearly 3 years later, police are searching a Selkirk Avenue property in connection to his disappearance. Police say along with the forensic unit, the RCMP are also helping search the property.
You may ask why the RCMP, just to let you know that in certain circumstances, we have technology that is not available to our own departments. We ask other law enforcement to assist us in using their equipment.
Police would not say what new information led to the search, but called it a significant update to an ongoing investigation. Exactly 1 year ago today, Manitoba's former PC government hired a recruitment firm to bring 150 doctors to the province. But in that time, not a single doctor has arrived. The CBC's Ian Fraze is asking, what went wrong?
Thank you. It started with Fanfare, an agency specializing in healthcare recruitment, working for Manitoba.
Our government is healing healthcare by bringing more doctors into the province.
But 1 year to the day, the firm hasn't welcomed a single doctor. Yuzoma Asaguera is with the NDP.
That's obviously a concern for me as the Minister for Health.
Canadian Health Labs was supposed to bring over 150 doctors within 2 years. 50 in Winnipeg, 50 in northern Manitoba, and 50 in other rural communities. But Shared Health says nobody's arrived, and it isn't saying if anybody is about to. As for Canadian Health Labs, the firm isn't answering our questions.
It's disappointing that the previous government signed a contract with a company that hasn't produced physicians for Manitoba.
The staffing agency has faced scathing criticism and an investigation. The Globe and Mail found the company was charging Atlantic provinces $300 an hour for a nurse, well above what a staff nurse earns. Manitoba is sticking with Canadian health labs. The province could terminate the contract, but the government would be penalized financially. And right now, Manitoba only pays if physicians are recruited.
I'm not interested in throwing good money after bad.
Doctors Manitoba says the agency's work so far is disappointing. The group hopes the NDP will still follow through on its promise to add 100 doctors this year. Asseguera wouldn't say how many physicians have been hired so far. Ian Fraze, CBC News, Winnipeg.
Manitoba's premier wants one plan to address homelessness. Wap Canoe says a group of Manitobans is heading to Houston to see what people here can learn from that city's Housing First model. Canoe says the delegation will be led by the Minister of Housing, Addictions and Homelessness, along with a team from the province and the city of Winnipeg. The mayors of Brandon and Thompson and those who work on the front lines will also be part of the group traveling to Texas. The premier says he wants to see a unified plan to tackle homelessness.
I don't know if it's fractured or it's just that so many people with good intentions have started their own initiatives, and as a result, they're each pursuing their own set of priorities. But the idea that us as a funder and us as a convening force, as your Manitoba government, that we need to bring everyone together into one cohesive direction, that we can't have turf wars, that we can't have people arguing about what the right approach is.
Last year, Mayor Scott Gillingham made a trip to Houston. He says by using the Housing First approach, the Texas city has been able to house nearly 30,000 homeless people since 2012. The fire near Marcel Colombe First Nation has more than doubled in size overnight. The nearly 400-hectare wildfire has already forced 150 people to evacuate the First Nation. Many are staying in Lynn Lake. The community is focusing on getting elders and families with young children out first, but say people should be ready to leave on short notice. 4 water bombers were deployed from Thompson, along with a ground crew to contain the fire. And an elementary school in Thompson went up in flames earlier today, leaving the district looking for a new place for kids to learn come September. Fire crews have been at the Westwood Elementary School since around 3:30 this morning. While it remains under investigation, the city says it was likely caused by an electrical panel. The school district says it will need to relocate around 280 students and 50 staff come September. Meetings will begin tonight to discuss the next steps. Mayor Scott Gillingham made some changes to his inner circle today. One longtime member of the Executive Policy Committee is out, while another councillor has been appointed for the first time. CBC's Cameron McLean reports.
More than 11 years, Brian Mays has sat on the Executive Policy Committee, first appointed by former Mayor Sam Cates in 2013. Mays served in a number of roles, most recently as Chair of Water and Waste, but now his run as a member of the Mayor's Inner Circle has ended. Mays was in Atlanta, Georgia to get a look at that city's green infrastructure when he got the call from the mayor.
I find the timing unfortunate, but ultimately the mayor gets to choose his EPC, so he chose this timing. I would rather have been there in person, to be honest, but I don't want to sound bitter. I've had a good run.
He and Mayor Scott Gillingham have disagreed on some big issues, with Mays speaking out against a federal funding program to increase housing density in Canadian cities.
We are undertaking the most significant reforms, I believe, in the city's history when it comes to our zoning bylaws and other changes that need to be made. I do want members of council, certainly executive policy members, to be coming down on the same side of those issues.
Councillor Evan Duncan moves from Chair of Community Services over to Water and Waste, while Point Douglas Councillor Vivian Santos makes her debut as a member of EPC, taking over Community Services.
Point Douglas has one of the more denser poverty, right? And so what I bring to the table is more of a lived experience.
City Council is currently in the midst of their summer break. The newly appointed committee chairs will spend the next few weeks getting familiar with their new files before Council reconvenes in September. Cameron McLean, CBC News, Winnipeg.
The sentencing hearing for disgraced fashion mogul Peter Nygard began today in Toronto. The 83-year-old has been in jail since his arrest in 2020. In November, a Toronto jury found him guilty of 4 counts of sexual assault. The Crown is seeking a 15-year prison sentence. Nygard also faces numerous sex-related charges here in Winnipeg, as well as in Quebec and New York. Dozens of women are also part of a civil suit in the U.S. Family and friends of a 32-year-old woman killed in a crash this week honored their loved one with a candlelight vigil last night. CBC's Alana Cole reports.
It's heartache that brought Loretta Maureen Green's friends and family together here. The 32-year-old mother of 6 died after being struck by a vehicle just after midnight Monday. Her mom, Diane Thomas, now left with memories.
She was loving, she cared about everybody.
Police say the crash happened at Notre Dame Avenue and McPhillips Street. Green, a pedestrian, was hit by a vehicle. She was taken to hospital, where she died.
It's like my heart just got ripped out of my chest. It hurts. No parent should ever go through what I'm going through.
Louis Peltier is Green's stepfather. He says she was thoughtful and kind.
Always happy, smiling. Every time she sees her mom, she had big smiles with her all the time. Lots of laughter, lots of love.
Police say the driver stayed at the scene to speak with officers, and the investigation into what happened is ongoing. As people come together to remember Green, her mom says she wants people to know her daughter had a beautiful heart. Alana Cole, CBC News, Winnipeg.
Well, a pair of records for the Winnipeg Sea Bears. That was the final shot at Canada Life Centre last night as the basketball team ended the regular season at home. Sea Bears claiming victory with 111 points over Calgary's 104, setting a new franchise points record. But the 11,000 fans in the stands is also a new attendance record. Winnipeg's win officially eliminated the Saskatchewan Rattlers from playoff contention and secured the final postseason spot for Winnipeg. As we told you yesterday, that heat is going to return, and it is going to return with a vengeance. Ethan Williams is in now for a look at our weather.
Well, thanks, Brittany. And we knew it was coming, but now it is official. We have heat warnings in place through all of southern Manitoba, including Winnipeg, excluding the very far southeast corner there around places like Sprague. We're not only going to see some very warm temperatures, but humidity going to lead to increasing humidex values over these next 2 days. Today, though, things on their way there. We're into the mid-20s in much of the province and even into northwestern Ontario, where we were a little bit cooler yesterday, barely cracked the 20-degree mark. We're back above that today, and we're already starting to feel a little bit sticky at times as those humidex values start to creep up. Low 30s is what we're feeling like across the south, and even as we head through the Inner Lake and portions of the Parkland region, feeling into those mid-30s in some places. That is leading to a little bit of instability, and we are seeing a few showers and thunderstorms just kind of crossing through the Brandon area and portions of Westman a little bit earlier today. A lot of those cells now starting to make their way stateside. We could see a little bit more of a disturbance in our weather over the coming days. We're not expecting much in the way of severe weather, but tomorrow afternoon and early evening, the beginnings of this low pressure system could push a few cells through the Parkland region and portions of western Manitoba, northwestern Manitoba. And then through Friday, we get a few cells popping up in the early morning hours through the south. That low pressure system is going to start to stall out, but there's a cold front associated with it. And by the time we get through the day on Friday, we see some increasing cloudiness and the possibility of some showers, that reaching the Red River Valley and the Winnipeg area by the later hours, later afternoon hours on Friday. That's also going to push the smoke back into the province, so hazy conditions and the possibility of those special air quality statements needing to be issued. But the winds start to pick up a little bit here, especially in the Winnipeg area, and they'll start to shift from the south. So we should get that smoke kind of flushed out of here as we head later into Friday, but there could be some gusty conditions kind of here and there. But otherwise, for tonight, it's a warm one overnight with mostly clear conditions in the south, lows near 20, kind of in that 10 to 15 degree range in the north. Temperatures quickly picking up tomorrow. There's that increasing cloudiness by the time we hit tomorrow afternoon. But again, temperatures near 30 in many northern locations, already at 20 by 7 a.m., near 30 by the noon hour. And then keep in mind by the afternoon, humidity going to make this feel like, well into the 30s through southern Manitoba. The possibility of some showers and thunderstorms in the Parkland region. Good day to keep the pets inside, just like Frank here, who I think needs a little bit of a nap. And there's your afternoon forecast again, well into the 30s and a very muggy day for the next couple of days here, Brittany.
Thank you, Ethan. Suspended for spying on the competition. The Canadian Olympic women's soccer team is starting the tournament with some unexpected drama. The latest from Paris is straight ahead. The Canadian women's soccer team is at the centre of a scandal in Paris over allegations of spying on a rival Olympic team. 2 staff members are accused of using drones to record practice sessions by the New Zealand team. CBC's Sarah Levitt reports.
They're the reigning gold medalists, here to defend that title. But Canada's women's soccer team will now do that under a cloud of scandal.
Well, we discovered a fair bit in the course of a very short period of time.
A member of the team's coaching squad, analyst Joseph Lombardi, arrested, charged, and sent home after admitting to flying a drone over New Zealand's training sessions to learn their tactics.
Shocked, disappointed, but I throw a few other emotions in there too. Frustrated, questioning. It raises all kinds of how could you questions.
Also sent home assistant coach Jasmine Mander, who was in charge of Lombardi but says she was unaware. Head coach Bev Priestman says she's still learning the details of what happened, but has removed herself from tomorrow's opening game.
Ultimately, I am accountable. That's why it was really important to me, I think, to take this moment to show strong leadership.
Canada Soccer, the International Olympic Committee, and FIFA say they're investigating. For the New Zealand team, this is a distraction.
We're controlling what we can control, and overwhelming sort of feeling of disappointment, and I know the players are feeling the same.
The question for many is, why did this happen? According to FIFA, Canada is currently ranked 8th in the world, New Zealand 28th.
It's a little bit of a mystery, isn't it? Because
Maya Jackman is retired, considered one of New Zealand's all-time greatest female footballers. She knows Priestman well.
I would not think that this was something she would condone or be a part of. She's a great coach, and she can coach without having to cheat.
For the players, concentrating on the game is all that matters.
We've worked really hard to get here as a group of players. Just been looking forward to this moment for so long.
As the team tried to do just that at practice today, assistant coach Jasmine Mander was walking off the field, a solitary walk, before being driven off. Sarah Levitt, CBC News, Paris.
As athletes were making final preparations for the Olympics, the Earth recorded its hottest day ever last weekend. The last games in Tokyo were the hottest and most humid ever and saw athletes collapsing during competition. Heather Hiscox looks at concerns and plans for keeping cool in Paris.
When you arrive here at Versailles, one of the first things you notice is this motif. It's everywhere. Louis XIV, the Sun King, which got me thinking about the sun and one of the big issues for these Olympic Games, the heat. So far, Tokyo's have been the hottest games on record. The conditions for the athletes there were torturous. Remember tennis player Daniil Medvedev saying he was dying on the court? It could be even hotter in Paris. The highest temperature ever recorded in the capital was in July of 2019, 42.6 degrees Celsius. So it's a concern for everyone, volunteers, spectators, but especially the athletes. It's tough to eat, sleep, and train well in extreme heat, let alone to compete and push their bodies to the max. Athletes have been training in the heat to acclimatize. Canadian marathoner Rory Linkletter, for example, on his YouTube channel, he talks about lengthy sessions in a sauna and overdressing for some easier runs in dark colors, tights, and long sleeves. Teams will be pulling out all the cooling strategies: ice vests, wet towels, cold sponges, even frozen balloons to help lower the body temperature. Some Canadian athletes, including Javier Acevedo, Skylar Park, and Aaron Brown, they're using cooling sheets to help get the best rest possible. Organizers might be forced to reschedule some events, as they did in Tokyo, when about 110 athletes suffered heat-related illnesses. They've already been forced to back down from one plan. When they built the athletes' village, they didn't install air conditioning. They went with a natural geothermal cooling system in the interest of reducing power consumption. Canada was one of many countries that said no thanks and vowed to bring their own portable ACs. Paris has since installed 2,500 units. Now, they might not need them just yet. The forecast for the first few days of competition has temperatures in the mid-20s, which would be ideal conditions. As the Sun King himself might say, long may they reign. Heather Hiscock, CBC News, Versailles.
Canada's flag bearers for the Olympics opening ceremony will be Andre DeGrasse and Maude Charon.
I don't have enough words to explain how I feel. I don't know enough words in English to explain how I feel. It's such an honor.
I'm pumped up to be able to have this opportunity to, lead my fellow teammates and, all my Canada athletes and everybody just into the opening ceremony.
Six-time medalist sprinter DeGrasse and champion weightlifter Charon will carry the Canadian flag during Friday's parade in Paris. Team Canada will be among 91 countries on boats moving along a 6-kilometer route through the River Seine. Live coverage of Friday's opening ceremony will air on CBC TV and stream on CBC Gem and cbcsports.ca starting at noon. And a quick programming note, during the games, our newscast will be on at 5 p.m. for half an hour. That also starts on Friday. Well, still to come, Ethan Williams is back with your 7-day forecast. Stay with us.
Well, a bit of a breezy one tomorrow, gusts near 50 in the Winnipeg area, but boy, it's going to be quite humid with things feeling closer to 40 these next couple of days here, especially Friday, going to be quite oppressive heat. The cold front moves in, brings us some showers and thunderstorms for Saturday and backs off the heat a little bit, but then things just resurge as we head into the beginning of next week with those humidex values back near 40, Brittany. So the cool down not lasting all that long.
Thanks, Ethan. And thank you all for watching. We'll see you back here tomorrow night. Have a great evening.